Good morning and welcome to Tanya today. Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever where you are. John, it's a good morning in North Carolina. Clem in Brisbane, it's a good evening. Bob, it's a good afternoon in Morocco. Michael in Alexandria, Virginia. Boker Tov, Liba and Davida. Good morning in New York. Luciana, welcome. Forget from where. Tsar from Malaysia. Aleichem Shalom. Tim in Texas, welcome. Michael in Germany, good afternoon. Serach is in Goshen, New York. Good morning. Asher in Memphis, Tennessee. Boker Tov, Erica, good afternoon to you in Norway. Darren is with us in the Philippines, good evening. And in Gold River, California, David is with us, welcome. Virginia, Boker Tov in Calgary, Dam in Indonesia, good evening. Robert, shalom to you in Boston. Diane, good morning in London, Ontario. June is with us in Australia. Miriam in Hayden, Colorado. We have Bachi and Vilma, of course, and Sina, Merle, Michael, Michelle, Mendel, David, Adam, Marcy, Celeste, Tim, Selena, Benjamin. Plus, we have Yocheved, we have Sarah, and Tetelaventa, Koi, and several others. Okay. We begin today the 17th letter. And the Alter Rebbe quoting from the Zohar that in response to an awakening from below, when a person awakens up their own heart with the attribute of loving kindness and compassion, then that arouses from above compassion from God, the source of compassion. Avarachamim, the father of compassion, the source of compassion, which is an infinite amount of compassion. And in that, the Zohar says that the fruits of the person's deeds in this world and the Keren, the principle, is for Olam Haba. Now, what's Olam Haba? The world to come. So, the world to come can mean two things. It can mean Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, because after 120 years in this world, well, that's the world to come. Garden of Eden, where the soul goes after the cleansing process, everything the soul needs to go through. That's the world that's coming. Another word for the world to come is the times of Mashiach, and the resurrection of the dead, the second part of the times of Mashiach. That's also the world to come. So, which one is it? Well, the real world to come. Please stand up. So the truth is, they're both true, but one's more the truth. Because Gan Eden, even though for us right now, Gan Eden is something to come, but it is something that exists right now. There's souls there right now. So in that sense, it's not really the world to come, it's the world that exists. We're just not there. The truth is, there are the righteous who are privy to that world, even when they're here in this world. But I'm not, and you're not. So, nonetheless, it exists now. The world of Mashiach, a completely redeemed world, of times of even later times of Tchias HaMesim, that doesn't exist now. So that's the true world to come. So sometimes the word Olam Haba, the world to come, is one or the other. But in this instance, when we speak about the principle of everything that we do today, everything that we accomplish today, it will be experienced. What we accomplish in the Torah and mitzvahs, and the good that we do, the compassion and the kindness that we perform in this world, the principle of it will be in times of Mashiach. The fruit is now, and also another now, Gan Eden. The fruit that it bears. Another fruit is not just now, literally now, but also now in the sense that Gan Eden exists now. So that's an important point. Now, what does it mean, fruit? How do we understand that in this world? So we understand it by the idea of Bone Chaye Mezene Revicha, which means blessings of family life, of health, and of livelihood, sustenance. That's now. Now this concept of the principle is related to the verse in Tehillim, in Psalms, Mitzvascha Rechava. Your commandment is very wide. See, Alter Rebbe says, why is it speaking about a commandment, not plural commandments? Mitzvasecha, it should say. But it says singular. Furthermore, it says your mitzvahs are very wide. That's an unusual term to refer to a mitzvah. That's an unusual term to refer to a mitzvah as being very wide. You could say it's very great, it's very immense, it's very lofty. Why wide? What does that mean? So the singular form of this mitzvah is God's mitzvah. Well, what's God's mitzvah? Well, He brings us existence. He animates us. He gives us life. By animating the world, He gives us life. So likewise, that's His mitzvah. So that means our mitzvah is to give life to others through loving kindness, through compassion, to give to others. Now, of course, in charity, but you can give life by teaching. You can give life in many ways. Now, in giving life, but here we're speaking about tzedakah, that it's God's way, it's His path, it's His thing, so to speak. So that produces fruit, and that has a principle to it. So it explains that in the times of Mashiach, the souls of the prophets, of the sages from the Mishnah, called Tanoim, the sages of the Gemara, called Amoraim, they're all going to come back as a soul in a body in the times of Mashiach, in the times of resurrection of the dead, later on, time period in the times of Mashiach, to be vested in a body, to come back down here. Why would they do that? Is because the principle of everything that we've accomplished in this world, Torah and mitzvahs that we do in this world, will be manifest, which means it will be experienced in two places. One is in Gan Eden, because Because now we really don't experience the mitzvah that we perform of giving charity. Yeah, I aside from the human feelings of feeling good, I'm talking about divine manifestation, divine experience, and not what we would probably call divine. Kind of use that word, probably an abused word. Like awesome is overly used and abused. So likewise, the idea of divine. Oh, that was divine. Well, it really wasn't, because that experience we really don't get now unless we're righteous. So where do we get it? We get it in Gan Eden. But in Gan Eden, what we get is what's called Memale Kol Almin, the light of God that fills the world. It is a contracted light. It's of the divine attribute of Chachma. That's why it says, with the letter Yud, God creates the spiritual worlds of God, including Gan Eden, Garden of Eden. Chachma is the first of the 10 divine attributes. It gives life. It's the source of life, wisdom. But it is only a contracted, reduced, minimal light that the soul will experience in Gan Eden after we leave this world. In other words, the mitzvah we do here of being charitable, of being compassionate, of being kind, of giving, the true divine light that we are connected to, will get a ray, a glimmer of that in Gan Eden. The principle of it, though, will be left to the times of Mashiach that we will truly experience. And that will be, because the principle is not the principle light experience, divine energy, is in the times of Mashiach, it's not a contracted light, but a limitless, an endless light. It's what we call Soivev Kol Almin. It's a light that encompassing, because it's so lofty and powerful, that it's encompassing. It doesn't take the dimensions of the thing that it is contained by. It's not contained. So like this mug over here is contains the liquid. Hey, there's no liquid here. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Hello? Sorry. So, this cup is a container. It contains a liquid only to the size of the cup, and not more. It's limited. That's memale. It fills the water fills the cup. So likewise, the light of God fills in a contracted form in Gan Eden. In the times of Mashiach, the light of God will be Sevev, will be encompassing. It won't be contained, limited, defined by a measurement of the container. But that doesn't mean it's not here. When we say encompassing, so it means beyond it, above it. So it's going to be in this world, but it will not be contained by being in this world. So it's not invested, meaning adapted, limited to the quality and the nature of the human condition. And therefore we will have an experience of the compassion of God, the kindness of God, that's limitless. When? In times of Mashiach. In the times of Mashiach, in particular in times of Tchias HaMesim, after the souls come back. After the souls come back. Okay. Let us unpack this. Let us examine this a bit. So right now when we do a mitzvah, what motivates to do the mitzvah, that's what God needs from us. That's what he wants. It's his mitzvah. But that mitzvah right now, there is no reward for it. Well, there can be, family life and health and material gain. That's a possibility, right? But uh, but but the experience, right? Those are things that are what's the word I'm looking for? A means to an end. It's not the experience of what we are doing. All of us are looking for meaningful experience, meaningful, deep engagement. And that's probably why many of you are here, to learn Tanya. And perhaps you're finding that. Hopefully you are. Where the difficulty might come, not so much in learning Tanya, because that's easy. But when you're doing a mitzvah, simple mitzvah of giving charity, a simple mitzvah of putting on your tefillin, hearing the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, and to experience a real connection to God. So now, we're talking about God, so it's easier to have that kind of awareness and that sense of bond and connection. It's more difficult when you're doing a so-called ritual, right? However, that being said, the ritual, the mitzvah that we're doing, it's not really a ritual. It's God's thing that God allows us so we can connect to him. So in the moment that we do a connection, we do a mitzvah, we're truly bound up and connected with God. However, we don't experience it. Or a limited experience, shall we say. We're aware of it, so, that's great. But the true divine, remember what the Zohar said, that we arouse from below here to elicit from up there our acts of loving kindness and compassion, elicits that from above. But the experience of that loving kindness, that bond with God, something we don't have now. But the bond with God we do have. We're connected with God himself in the act of doing the mitzvah. However, that it should be rewarding, that will be the fruits and the principle of what we're doing in the time to come. Well, time to come meaning Gan Eden, that we'll get the fruit. We'll only get the fruit. We won't get the principle. We'll only get a glimmer. And then in times of Mashiach, we'll get that which we're accomplishing now, experiencing it then in its full thrust of the limitless kindness and compassion of God that we will experience, that we will connect to, and be aware, not just be aware in the mind's eye, but in the physical eye, we will have that profound connection. So again, there's what we accomplish now in connecting to God, to the essence of God, without the experience of that, the fact of it. And then what we will gain, the fruits and the principle in the time to come. So now we're really motivated to do something for the sake of God, because it's his thing. Because I'm not really experienced, the human being wants to experience things, and that's why a lot of people are frustrated with Torah and mitzvahs, because it can be very dry. Now, it's not meant to be dry, and when you study Tanya, you study Chassidus, so it gives you the insight, the awareness, the wherewithal that it should be a deeper, more profound understanding and appreciation. That's true, but it's not as if you are experiencing it. You're aware of it. That's what's true. I once heard a story of from Rabbi Zalman Posner, Alav Shalom, who was a shliach, even times the previous Rebbe, I think in 1949, he came out to Nashville, Tennessee. And I remember, he used to be a speaker at the encounters with Chabad, the Pigishas in Crown Heights, and he would speak, and eloquent speaker, spoke about tefillin, about the meaning of tefillin, and the person listening was very much taken and like, wow, I gotta get a pair of these awesome things. This tefillin is really amazing. Like your explanation. He says, well, tell me, is that what you think every day when you put on tefillin? He says, no, I just put them on. Because, okay, we're aware of it, and we think briefly or whatever, but yeah, we put it on. You're not experiencing it? Come on, we're not experiencing it. This is what's happening in spiritual terms, but are we experiencing it? Okay, we might have our own feelings about it, but that's our own feelings. So what are we experiencing? An awareness now. And sometimes we think, sometimes we just put it on, but we have an awareness that there's a deep, profound connection with God. That fact of that connection will be experienced by our soul after 120, the fruit, and it will be experienced even more profoundly, the principle, that all-encompassing light, infinite light of God in times of Mashiach, that which we accomplish now. All right, that's pretty powerful. Let's go to some questions, some comments, some thoughts anybody has. Please share. If you have a question, 2 question marks first on Facebook or Instagram, and that way we show that it is indeed a question. Don't forget, I know now that. Share that likewise. That would be great. I don't see any questions so far. Davida, am I correct?
Yeah, I have her.
Okay. And how about on Clubhouse or Instagram?
Okay, yeah, I have her email and I have her address.
Okay. I guess everything's so clear. I hope. I wish. Oh, Judah has a question. Oh yeah, where? I don't see it. Hey, put the question again, because I don't see it. Why is Chachma called wisdom when it's only a spark? Alice asks a question. That's a good question. Yeah, I never understood why Chachma is called wisdom. To be quite frank. I never, but I don't know. I guess wisdom is sort of like can be the spark of, I don't know. I'm actually not sure. Good question. Don't have an answer for that. Maybe just stick with the word Chachma. I think we'd be better. I think we'd be better. Okay. All right, folks. If that's it. That's it. That's all they say. Oh, I think we got Marcy. Please share with us. Can't hear you if you're speaking. Speak up, please. Oh, there we go.
I'm not sure I can be heard.
Yeah, now you're heard.
Okay, just a comment on translating. I mean, it's hard to distinguish between, like, Gila, Rina, Sason, and Simcha, for example.
Right.
My daughter always asks why her Hebrew name is Rina as opposed to any other expression of joy, and why. And I explained to her that if she'd been a boy, she would have been called Simcha. But she's like, well, can you explain the difference? Like, not exactly.
Actually, there is a difference. Simcha is more open, an open joy, a revealed joy, and Rina, which comes the same name as my name in Hebrew. My name is Roni. It's an Israeli Hebrew name, which is like Rina, Roni v'simchi basiyain, and so Rina Roni is a deeper joy, like a not revealed kind of joy. So they're both joy, but different kinds.
I noticed your parents have the same mental attitude towards their kid as I did towards mine, given that you have two expressions of joy in your name.
Yeah, actually, my name is Ronnie. My wife, even though she's Ashkenazi, was named, and it's not usual, was named Simcha. So we, and when we got married, on the Shabbos Sheva Brachos is Parshas Ba'aloischa, and the Haftorah is Roni v'Simchi. So.
Aww.
Yeah. And further, right before we went out the first time, it was right after Hanukkah, and Hanukkah also the Haftorah is Rani v'Simchi. So we had what to talk about. The Rebbe spoke about it at that Farbrengen. So, yeah, all in a name. Yeah. Thank you. So Asher, speaking about, your wife who passed away is now studying in Gan Eden with Miriam and her academy, right? Yeah. May your soul go from strength to strength. All right. Julie, the Chochmah is the Yud, right? So exactly, meaning it is the seed of intelligence. Yeah. So Nicole, your number is 17. Okay, what does 17 mean? 17 is the gematria of Toiv, which means good. Tes is 9, Vav is 6, that's 15, and Base is 2. Added up, it's 17. So the number 17, which is the 17th letter we're in, is good. So this is, yeah. And I guess being born on March 17th at 3:17, you must be good. Must be. All right. Anybody else with a question, comment, something to share? All right. All right, folks, to be continued. We're going to continue with this and actually understand a little more deeply tomorrow. How does this work? what we spoke about today. We spoke about Keser, Soivev, all-encompassing light of God. So we're going to get a little more Hasidic geography, mystical geography, and understanding this concept and how that encompasses us and we experience in the times of Mashiach. May it come now so that we can all celebrate. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget Rambam today at 12:45. Be well.